It felt like any other day. At the end of it, we said goodbye as we both needed to hit the hay. As I looked him in the eyes, there was nothing to suggest he was about to do something unwise. As I began to unwind, I knew he'd gone to see the friends that are both his and mine. Even when he called me at 2 hours after 9, he still put a smile onto this face of mine, despite the events that had occurred in the months before this time. Now, here's a little backstory to help you make more sense of this rhyme. We found out during the first month in line that his nan's journey had come to the end of its metaphysical line. This is when the unstoppable journey of time brought along the next month in line. That February was in no way mine, and that was fine because that's when she laid to rest for her final time, which is when once again the unstoppable journey of time brought along the next month in line. And despite all that had happened during that time, he appeared to be fine. Well, when I say fine, he was drinking Glenfiddich a lot of the time. This often meant he struggled to encourage his legs to maintain a straight line. But where were we? Oh, that's right. The call that occurred around the 11th hour, which is when things turned sour. The call carried on, the video part of which meant all I could do was watch on. It was at this moment I recognised his kitchen walls, but there was another proponent, and that was the sound from this call. Because of incidents that had happened before, I knew he was harming himself like before. I couldn't physically see him creating these new sores, but I did know I couldn't not watch anymore. This also created massive mental mayhem, just like I'd experienced before. In my mind, I was begging the universe, please, no more. Just like when he'd done this before, I told him hurting himself wouldn't help heal the mental sores, which he knew from before because last time he put carvings in his body, he just gained more. Please, just stop. Please stop. I can't take knowing you're hurting yourself even more. Luckily, this seemed to snap him out of that unstable moment where he was creating new scores. My pleading finally got through to his sensible core, and he stopped creating new tallies on himself like he was keeping score. But that's when I saw his car door. I saw the rope and this scared me more. This isn't something he's done before. All I could do is watch in awe with my jaw to the floor as he started to tie one end of the rope to the pole that keeps the curtains off the floor. What's more, he's now tying a noose in the end that's closest to the floor. Despite trying to tie the rope to the black curtain pole attached to the wall, the rope thankfully didn't like its new home up high next to the wall. Maybe that's why it did nothing but fall off that black pole attached to the wall. Or maybe it was just fate that made the rope fall on the floor, much like spaghetti falling onto a plate. This is when I called the police, but this did nothing but shatter any remaining piece. Now I'm looking at my phone, but the screen is black and nothing is shown. My mind is no longer thinking of this life of mine. I'm just panic dialing his phone from mine, but despite these efforts of mine, he would not answer and connect the line that will allow communication between his phone and mine. Wait, he's now answered the call, but what I heard was something that no one wants to hear at all. He told me to trust him, which is when those words came from his lips. I need to end it all. Panicked, I dialed 999 from my parents' landline because his phone was connected to mine. The Met police quickly picked up the phone. Maybe they answered so quickly because my phone gave off a panic dial tone. Wait, the Met aren't the ones who can help me quickest with this call. The British Transport Police are the ones I need to call. I'm such a fucking fool. They too answered my call. I let them know everything that had happened on the previous calls, as well as the fact he'd said he was going to end it all. I also let them know I knew the trains would be his next suicide tool. Now, I'm not sure when it occurred because all of this is a little bit blurred, but he'd let slip where he was going at that time, and thankfully they managed to shut down the line. Shortly after this frantic call on his phone, I hear a voice I didn't recognise at all. It was a transport officer, and to my surprise, he'd let me know he'd had a 30-foot fall from a bridge and survived. While this was going on, I could hear him going on and on, telling the police to let him go so he could carry on. The officer spoke once again. To prevent this happening again, we're going to need to section him. They took him away. A reference number was all I was left with in the early hours of that day. Despite me doing my best for him in those moments, during those calls, his brother said he'd end my all if I was the reason he'd done this all. His mother also wouldn't speak to me at all. She too thought I was the cause for this all. There was only one of his family relations that I could speak to at all. His dad was the one who reassured me this wasn't my fault at all. According to my partner at the time, he said he did this because he wanted to be mine, and that he loved me more than any man would ever throughout time. His nan passing away was also another reason he said he tried to throw it all away, because he was struggling to live without her day after day. It's now a year on, and I'm opening up about this traumatic experience of mine from that time to a friend who is really the best of mine. He's helping me share this experience of mine by creating this poem with rhymes. I'm so much happier because I'm with my new, much better man. Not just because he hasn't tried to kill himself on cam, because he truly loves me for who I am. Even if I sometimes might whine more than a stereotypical man, you know the ones who sound like they've been hit in the head with a pan that just makes you want to give them a moaning ban. But that's just the way I am now. Also, this day has been easier than I thought it would be. Wow. Right, where's that man of mine? I want to cuddle him, because he's the best teddy bear I've ever had during this life of mine. And that is a poem called Him, which, as the poem suggests, I helped a friend of mine create to get over the traumatic experience that she had with an ex-partner who tried to kill himself on video call. Which is always fun. And I helped her create this a while ago, and I sent her a message, and she said that I can share it out with the world, and hopefully this helps some people out there kind of get through moments and understand that actually during times when people try and commit suicide, on call and stuff, it's not just that person who's impacted, it's everybody else around. Stay strong, people.